Let's do it.
Okay, so thanks Sujan for accepting my invite. Basically, you're co-founder for a growth marketing agencies. You're a partner at Rapid Ventures that is basically 5 tools like Q.co, Mailshake, Narrow.io, link texting, Pick.co, and so on. Also, you have your own blog, SujanPatel.com, and also you're guest blogging at least 6 times per week or something like that. So
That's pretty crazy, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know anybody else that does that. So basically my question is, how do you structure your time? How does your day look like? How do you prioritize stuff? Do you have a system in place or something like that?
Yeah, so I think the first, the first thing I look at in order for me to manage my time effectively is I treat all of the Ramp Ventures properties as if they were clients, right? Mm-hmm. These are, if you're running marketing for a $5-10 million business, it's not that complicated. If you have 1 or 2 growth channels, you kind of focus on those growth channels. And so to put the answer simply, all of Ramp Venture properties have usually 1 or 2 different channels that we use to grow. There are a lot of them are in common. So we only acquire or work with company or build companies that can grow very heavily with word of mouth and referrals, meaning the product is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the marketing. So product marketing is number 1. Word of mouth and referrals is a byproduct, is the output of having a great product and having good marketing or good UX within the product. So the other thing is content marketing, email, building an email list and database, having an audience. But all of this kind of is 2 things. It's content marketing and it's word of mouth. Now, what I do a really good job of is saying no to things that won't move the needle. So a lot of times people are like, oh, let's try this channel, let's try this growth hack, let's try this and that. I usually pretty much say no to like 99.9% of things that are not within that cannot move the needle for us. In terms of managing the agency, we have a really, really good team. I've found, this is my second agency, I found that what I'm really good at is the strategy, is the team management. And again, I'm not writing ad copy for clients. I'm not writing a blog post. We're not even doing a lot. We're creating long form or high value, high quality, extremely high quality, like 10x pieces, ebooks, things like that. So we're doing a lot with a little. Now that little takes a long time to do as well. But again, we have a really good team. And then in regards to writing content, I actually, and I said this many times before, I actually start by talking the content. So the latest blog posts on my site, SujanPatel.com, are all things I just sat down and was talking to somebody. I talked to usually my editor, and my editor will then transcribe things and say, okay, out of the 30 minutes you ranted about this, here are the 6 or 7 takeaways. I usually have an outline of things I want to go through. And so then essentially it will be a transcription and an outline of that. And then I will go write. So that will help frame the story and the details. And, again, our mantra is like, it needs to be easy to understand, meaning using human language, not like jargon and minimizing the use of, fanciness that just goes over people's heads. And number 2, it needs to be actionable. With that, we have a really, really good framework of the story. And in 15 to 30 minutes, I can come up with a 3,000 to 5,000 word post that would normally take me hours. Now, it does take, maybe 90 minutes, 45 to 90 minutes to complete end to end, because it takes time to add in the intro and outro and then like find details. But what I don't do is, I don't worry about the specifics. So for example, not specifics, but I don't worry about doing the research and things like that are things anybody can do. So I look at like, what are things I can do that nobody else can do? And that's the stuff I work on. And once I do things, 100 times over, I'm doing things a lot, I pretty much either find somebody who's better at it than me, or either continue doing it or figure out a way to make it more productive use of my time. So I typically write in the mornings and evenings,
Mm-hmm.
and either Saturday or Sunday, I'm usually like up early, couple hours before my wife wakes up, and I pretty much knock out a bunch of work and kind of content. And then on a day-to-day basis, we have clients at Web Profits and Rap Ventures are our own, essentially other clients. And so we treat them accordingly. And this works well because all of these businesses are, in terms of size, they're fairly small, right? We don't need a CEO. We don't need a general manager just yet. But as these things grow, we will probably hire, smarter people to do a better job than we are now. But until then, we can manage.
So you're a productivity master, let's say. So you specify the fact that you like to focus on only some channels, let's say. But how do you find the channels you should focus on without testing them first?
I do the math. I do projections, and from experience, I can tell you that there are only really 5 or 6 different channels of growth. And again, maybe there's more, but this is my opinion, right? There's SEO, or let's just call it inbound marketing. That's SEO and content marketing, everything related to that. There's PPC or paid social, right? So AdWords, Facebook ads, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Quora, whatever, right? There's always new channels emerging. New kind of networks emerging within that channel. So like Quora ads, right? That's a new one. Do I want to test it? Probably. Also media buys and kind of one-off advertisements are there as well. But I look at everything as one channel. Are we doing a lot of paid? That determines on our economics, our unit economics for a business, or the conversion rates to simplify things for each business or our client. So for example, what's the CPC? How much search volume or volume is there in that space? And what is an estimated conversion rate we can get to a trial or to a paid customer? Oftentimes, I find that if you apply, let's just say your general conversion rate. So I typically say, okay, let's use Mailshake as an example. Our conversion rate is 1.5% from visitor to paid customer. This is a blended conversion rate from all of our traffic. So this is literally the number I pull from GA, including all traffic. So it's not just new visitors, it's everybody. It's probably higher for just new visitors, but let's just say it's the 1.5%. We know our LTV. I won't share that, but we know our LTV. So we know what we can afford to pay at the top end. And we're 9 months old, so our company LTV is going up. So it really means it's undetermined, but in a usually upward trajectory, because the longer a business has been around, the higher lifetime value you're going to have. But anyways, long story short, I look at the CPC, I times it by the conversion rate we have now. It gives me a potential CAC. And I look at how much volume there is, meaning how much traffic can I get? And that tells me how big this channel is going to be. So when I do the CPC, I'm looking at who else is out there and how competitive it is and whatnot. But ultimately, if that number, that math there tells me it's going to get me anything under 100 customers, 100 customers a month, I don't do it. If the cost per acquisition is too high, I don't do it. So in this case, Mailshake doesn't do paid because the cost per acquisition is too high. And based off of what we can spend, we would not get any more than 100 new customers a month. And that, to be honest, my time is better spent on making our channels that do work better, because we can squeeze more value out of it. So that's how I look at things. Now, if I apply that math, that simple formula, again, this is every marketer does this, right? But I find a lot of people don't do this when they try to discover what channels they should focus on. What they try to do, a lot of people, again, I'm putting words in other people's actions, but I see this every day from my blog, people emailing me, potential clients, like, I want to do this, that, and the other. We have clients that say, okay, we have $1 million annual budget for marketing. The question is, how do you best deploy that $1 million? It's not trying everything. It's trying the right things that can yield really, really good results and can be growth channels. So in the early days, it's figuring out what your growth channels are and doing those. You should always be testing, poking, prodding. But for me right now, Mailshake, a better use of our time is to spend on improving conversion rate, improving the word of mouth, engaging and building with that audience instead of going after a whole new channel, because I still have to do all those other things. But if I don't have them now, if I don't have it all figured out, then the new channel, let's say paid, is not going to work for me. So it tells me I don't need to worry about it yet. And that means I can sleep better, and that means I can say, okay, defer to 6 months from now.
Let's go more in depth on your marketing vision. For example, a tool in your Ramp Ventures toolset is link texting. So let's take that for example because it's not so well known. Walk us
Yeah,
through
nobody knows
the
about it.
yeah, exactly. Walk us through the marketing plan or actions you did in the first 90 days after launching or before launching link texting.
Yeah, so when we acquired link texting in Q3 of 2016, so about almost a little under a year ago now, the first, I broke things up into fixing and improving, like things that are just broken or need to be improved, and then proactive marketing, growth, right? So we bought this company. When I look at the company, I was like, what are all the holes? When I do an audit, I look at what are the holes in it. So conversion rates suck.
Okay.
Traffic was low. So one of the biggest things is traffic is low. The other thing is the brand was dead, meaning no one talked about it. We had customers, but no one really talked about it. The industry, mobile marketing or mobile apps. So link texting is a tool that is a simple widget that you put on your website, specifically your desktop website, to put a little phone number form on there so that when somebody fills out that form, you'll text them a link to your app instead of like download on iOS or App Store. Because on the desktop, when you click on the iOS download, it opens up iTunes and you're not looking at downloading a computer app, you want a mobile app. So what that means is nobody really does this. I also talk to our customers, our most active customers, and ask them, what do they love about link texting? Forget it, what they love. What do they like? What do they use it for? What do they hate? So that told me things I need to improve on the product. When we looked at it, the product was very much an MVP, which is a good thing and a bad thing. The reason it's great is that means there's a lot of upside or opportunity for us. So we went to the first 90 days. My partner and I went on, he leads kind of all development and project management for everything that needs to be done to the product, the website. I lead all marketing and growth, and where we converge in the middle is on the product marketing side. So there's a lot of holes in the product. People were complaining about, hey, you have no metrics. So we built metrics. The whole UX, looking at the whole website and the UX, did not clearly tell us the value prop of what the heck the business was. In fact, it took us about 5 minutes or 3 to 5 minutes to explain to new people what the heck we do. And that's a complicated thing. So imagine if I have to have a 3 to 5 minute conversation to explain what the heck it does, imagine how crystal clear the website has to be in order for it to explain what we do in 10 seconds, right? So it wasn't clear what we do. So we redesigned the homepage. We added more pages. We created a mobile app playbook because what we found is a lot of people come to link texting when they're right about to embed or right about to launch their website or their marketing effort. So they don't know a lot about marketing. So we teach them about marketing. When we created content to teach them about marketing. That's one of the things we first started doing. The other things, again, fixing that whole UX from like visitor to paid customer. We created email onboarding sequence. I'm not a big fan of intercom and drift type messages in app just yet because one, we don't have a big team to support them. We have 2 customer support people. Before we just recently hired somebody. Before that was me, and so I was like, whoa, I could do. How much customer support can I do? The intention is people want live feedback, and we don't have the potential, so we stopped it. We cut that completely. But anyway, so we focused on email onboarding, the UX and flow to go from visitor. So we redesigned the homepage and the front end website and the whole back end flow to build out a widget and whatnot. We figured out what the activation point is. Another thing that's very, very important on a SaaS business is to figure out when do people activate and what is that aha moment, right? People say aha, but let's define it. It's when they freaking use your company tool, whatever you do, right? So when do they get success using your tool? So Mailshake is when they first send a campaign. So activation point is they upload a list, they write the email template, and they send it off. Link texting is when they create a widget and they embed it on their website, right? If you don't do that, it doesn't matter. You will never activate. So we fixed that flow, and then we found out a lot of people didn't sign up for a paid program because, frankly, we didn't tell them to purchase. So like the whole, when you're in the product, when you're logged in, never ever has the website told you upgrade. So we made that more prominent. Before what we had was this little tiny button or link that says like, upgrade your account. And then below that says get 50% off if you refer a friend. And it was setting up using Ambassador or like Reward Stream or something of that nature. And nobody used that. But like if you look at like the value prop, nobody's going to sign up if you're automatically discounting it 50%. And no one's going to refer your business before they even sign up or activate. So we killed that. We'll ask people for referrals and to spread the word when they're 6 months in, 90 days in, when they've actually successfully used this. So that was the plan. I also went to town while that was happening. I went to town doing customer interviews. I man support the first 90 days, so I understand the pain points of what it takes, what's happening, what people are thinking when they actually go in their product. That helps me understand how I can do marketing, and it helps me build a customer persona. And so what I did is I built a customer persona around our audience. Who are they? There are two people. It comes down to it. One is they're a product manager. If they're a larger business and these are the customers we want, they're a product manager. They're in charge of product at their organization. Two, they're a founder, CEO, CTO. They're pretty much like they have their own mobile app, a very small organization. But those guys, they just want to set up and go. They don't need much help besides help setting it up. So with those guys, we hired a support developer to essentially enable people. This is now going in from I would say 91 days to the first 120, so the first 6 months, or the second 3 months, the second 90 days of the first 6 months, we hired a support developer to help customers implement, because we found out that customer demographic or persona, they're busy, they don't need to learn something new. In fact, they don't want to learn something new when our tool is preventing them from learning something new. It solves that problem. That's our main value prop, because you could build out this whole link texting system yourself in Twilio and whatever, but that takes like a month of dev or whatever. Nobody wants to do that for something so simple, or nobody should do that for a small little win. So anyways, long story short, we help customers activate, because we know that's a big problem, by simply just helping them do it for them. We started creating content for the blog. Initially, we created a lot of content targeting mobile app developers and CEOs, CTOs, again, of small companies. But we found out our money-making companies, we have Expedia, we have HubSpot, we have Adobe, we have lots of big Fortune 500 public companies that are our customers, and these guys are our best customers. They're product managers. That's the person who's purchasing. So we've shifted gears recently to focus all of our content marketing efforts on our target demographic, product managers. What do they want to know? Who cares what we do? We want to be a valuable and educational resource for our target demographic, because if we educate the industry, we make people aware. Another big thing that we did is we understood what channels we can use to grow. Again, word of mouth is good. We knew that if we enabled our customers, made them happier and smarter, we'd get more of it. We determined SEO is not huge, because if you look at the search volume for a lot of this stuff, it was really small. If we ranked number one for all of our target keywords, we would get an extra 5 to 10 customers a month. That doesn't move the needle for anybody. And so we focus on content marketing, push marketing essentially, right? So people aren't searching for a solution. So we have to create enough value or content that could educate the market. And then they will like, that's what you guys do. I'll sign up. So instead of trying to get people to sign up immediately, we just focus on valuable educational content. And if they like what they hear, they'll sign up and we can optimize for them. So that's it.
I love the delivering value part, because I'm a big promoter of that also. And I love the fact that you're a very pragmatic marketer. Let's say you don't go multi-channel and spend money right and left and see what sticks and doesn't stick and things like that. So you're very pragmatic. You have a very pragmatic approach in a smart way.
Yeah, thank you. And so just one thing to note here is that I like to use my logic to drive decisions. And I think a lot of people just forget it, because they're like, oh, this awesome growth hack, I read about this. Well, put it into perspective of what that's going to do for you. Exactly. If you're just starting off and you have 0 channels, you're not going to get your first channel if you go and try 10. You're going to get your first channel if you execute properly. Whereas, for example, Mailshake, we're growing like wildfire. Everything I'm doing right now for Mailshake, because we have our word of mouth referral channel is huge. Our product does all the marketing for us. So I have two things I need to do. I need to make that work better. The channel that works, I need to optimize it. Number two is I need to find more channels. So with Mailshake, we have a lot more budget and more opportunity to throw shit at the wall, right? We can be that like illogical marketer that says, let's go try these things. Because one, we have the traffic. Two, we have the customers. Because we have over 10,000 customers. Now we can test stuff. We have a pretty decent sized email list because we did marketing, and we'll get into that in a bit, but we did marketing well before the product was live to build up education in that audience. And lastly, we have the luxury of time, meaning my new marketing channels, content marketing, PPC, building an email database, webinars, ads, sponsorships, those are all the things I'm working on there, have 6 to 9 months before they need to net a positive ROI.
Yeah.
So I have time.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing is the fact that having a pragmatic way to look at things gives you the opportunity to see what things are working and what not, if there's a demand in the market, because you cannot go, you can have the greatest product in the world with the best UX. If there's no demand and word of mouth marketing shows you if there's a demand or no, you cannot focus on PPC or sponsorship if there's no demand for your product. Like in your case, for example, LinkText is still a small company, so it's used by big players, but Mailshake proved itself that there has a big audience, has big demand, and you can go further in finding new channels. I think that's the what I get from our discussion. Yeah.
One thing real quick to break it down even simpler. When you go from 0 to 100 customers, it's a lot of hustle. And when you hustle, it's like anything you can do to grow this thing and keep it, to make it survive, right? Yeah. That's like, forget everything I just said. It's like, do whatever it takes to make it work. Go 1-to-1 and go sell door to door, right? That could work. When you go from 100 to 1,000, that's where link texting is at. It's about that pragmatic approach and spending your dollars, your time very, very effectively and doing it right. I find that it's 1 or 2 channels that get you from 100 to 1,000. From 1,000 to 10,000, it's very much like, okay, let's go find 2 or 3 channels. From 10,000 to 100,000 or 100,000 to 1,000,000 customers, and that number will change kind of depending on your LTV or your MRR. But ultimately, that's when you have to get institutions in place. Like, for example, when Mailshake has 100,000 customers and we're trying to get to 1,000,000, or we might find out 100,000 is our peak. But either way, we need a team. We need multiple channels. It's very much deploying the right resources in the right channels. We're in the 10,000 to 100,000 customers, and that means it's how do we best use our time, capital, and resources.
Yeah, makes sense. One trend I've noticed when talking about link testing or Mailshake is the fact that you've created these huge 10x pieces, the mobile app playbook and the email outreach playbook. And one thing I've noticed in the past few months when of talking about email outreach with somebody, they're always talking about that resource, your resource. So how you came up with the idea of having this kind of resource, because it takes time and money to do them because it's huge. They are huge. And what was the main strategy behind those before launching them, and how did you promote them? How did you go about building links to them and so on?
Yeah. So funny enough, so let's talk about the email outreach one, because that was the first one we did. And I would say that was a failure, because the idea behind it was to create something educational. Well, it was a failure in a couple parts, but it's success at the end of the day, it worked. So in the beginning, our goal, our KPI, our objective we wanted to hit was that we wanted to rank on Google for cold email outreach, cold email related keywords. Well, it does rank, but it doesn't drive much traffic. So I failed initially, because we did this before I had a lot more proven formula to validate that there is demand. Meaning, if I were to rank number 1, how much traffic would I get? Turns out the traffic from search is really, really small. I
I
was like,
see.
oh crap, that's not good, right? The second objective was we had a user base, we had customers because Mailshake came from Content Marketer.io, so we migrated a few thousand customers over from our connector product. So we had people who were like, how do I use this freaking tool? They were beta testing it before it was even up for sale. The goal was, let's educate our market. Let's educate. I had a hypothesis that a lot of word of mouth, we engineered the product to be very, very cheap and very, very simple, which are two big pain points the industry has right now. Because our competitors, for the most part, are more expensive or a little bit more complicated to use. And so that was our core advantage. So anyways, we knew this going in. So we're going to enter really low and then kind of grow up market. But going back to the playbook, all my goal was to educate our customers. And I was hoping that if by educating our customers, we would create value. They would talk about us more. They would be smart and share it. So because we didn't have anything to market, because the product, Colin, all of 2016, my co-founder and the developer of Mailshake was building Mailshake, which was pretty much version 2.0 of Connector. Now we're at version 2.0 of Mailshake. But anyways, my point being is that for 9 months, I was sitting on my hands. I'm like, can I do marketing yet? Can I do marketing yet? Can I do marketing yet? And I'm like, I need to build a brand. Nobody knows what the heck a Mailshake is. And so I was like, what can I do? We have beta users using this beta product, but we can't even talk about it. And even if they talk about it, nobody can sign up. So where can I put all of this energy from people, from myself? What can I do to help build this company before the company is there, right? So that's why I decided to build an educational 10x piece of content. And the goal and how we came about it was that we found a gap, right? We looked at all the cold email related keywords, all the content, and a lot of them are outdated. Yes, and I'll call people out. Yesware has content that's just mediocre. And they've been doing it for since 08, 09. So they have a lot of outdated content. Other marketers have content, but it wasn't really robust, and it was very situational, like how I did this using XYZ, right? Like not at all repeatable. Where I also saw another gap, and my friend Chris Winfield told me about this when he was giving me early product feedback. He's like, hey, Sujan, one of the things I see the most valuable of your product? And I'm like, yes, tell me. And he's like, it's not your product. It's the fact that you have email templates. You have email templates, and nobody else has really email templates. We had email templates since 2015, and to the best of my knowledge, I don't think anyone else had it, and that was intentional. But anyways, he's like, you should make those email templates public. And so in our ebook, in the cold email outreach playbook, we're like, let's go make our best email templates public, and not the ones that are situational that I see everywhere else, but the ones that are very applicable to many different situations. So yeah, that's kind of what came out of it. Now, as far as people liking it, sharing it, where that came from is one, I was like, okay, we're going to launch this. How are we going to promote this thing? We're going to do email outreach, let people know, anyone included in the article, let them know. We're going to launch on Product Hunt because it's a big resource. We're going to ungate the content so it can rank well for SEO. And let's face it, nobody ever in the history of mankind reads a 20,000, 30,000 word article on the web. They download a PDF, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, let's make this ungated, and let's at some point ask them for an email address. Well, that turned into a great email lead generation for us. We get about 35 to 40% of people opting in their email address for that. So now we have a way to collect email addresses that's not, hey, sign up for announcements when our product launches. It's actually valuable stuff. So we had email addresses. So that way, all of this stuff was like, okay, when we launch, our email database is going to be even bigger. So that's it. And I was hoping to get more traffic from search, but what ended up happening is that people like the content, which was, again, is engineered or created for people to find value and to be a resource that's not out there. So naturally, people shared it. People share it a lot on their private Facebook groups. And all I continued to do after the product launched was to take that people that are in that email database, our customers and our email database of not customers, and email them weekly or bi-weekly with more valuable content. So now just making them smarter. And I'll tell you, our content is not much better than Yesware's or our competitors that I made fun of early on. All it is valuable to our customers. I give myself a C minus in our blog and content marketing in August 2017. But now we're doubling down to make sure we have absolute unique content, because the first thing we needed to do was content that can educate our customers. And when I talk to our customers, again, by manning support the first 6 months of the company, I found that our customers aren't these like awesome marketers like you, where they're like, I want the cutting edge stuff. They're like, I want the basic stuff. How do I send an email? How do I write an email template? It was like the really basic stuff. And I also found that the advanced guys, I'll pick on you for a second, the advanced marketers are like overcomplicating all this crazy stuff of like, I'm going to personalize this sentence, that sentence, whatever. They're writing this long form email copy. And I'm like, wait, hold on. How do you even know somebody read the first sentence? And the reality is they probably didn't even open your email or read the whole thing, and they just opened it and marked it as spam or deleted it. So I was like, let's go figure out what makes the email the best. And again, all of this was stuff that was very, very dead simple. I gave a talk like 3-4 months ago this past summer in Poland, and I in front of a bunch of sales professionals, and my talk was about maybe 13 different things you should be doing in your cold emails and how you should be going about it. And people like, like the one they like the best was the one that's right in everyone's face for the last decade. Value first, keep your email short and scannable.
Yeah.
That's never going to change. But anyways, that's kind of the obvious stuff was so far gone because people are focusing on the advanced stuff that I was like, let's just bring it back down to very, very basic stuff.
Yeah. I had the chance to experience that recently, past week. I have a colleague that works in the sales department. He does a lot of cold calling and cold emailing, and he was sending me templates of his templates on cold email. Yeah. There were these long emails, and I told him, dude, first connect with the guy. So try to connect with him on social media, chat with him. I don't know, comment on one of his shares, deliver value somehow, create a connection, then send him a short email. And it worked way better. So he came back and, dude, that worked. Of course it works. It's all about relationship. Sales has already a bad reputation. Why make it worse?
Exactly. I found that we've sent about like 12 million emails from Mailshake so far. I found that the best subject lines are like 3 to 5 words, and the best emails have no more than like 6 sentences. I forgot the character count, but it was like 5 or 6 different sentences, and obviously a clear call to action. But yeah, I mean, you're spot on. Like, it doesn't matter what the heck you do, how much time you can save them. If you don't get them to listen to you, nothing matters after that. So focus on that. But
yeah. Let's change the topic for a bit. I've noticed that recently you put much more effort in video. So your YouTube channel is ramping up with more videos. The cadence, the number of videos are increasing, and also the quality of them. What is the reasoning behind that? Why it's like you're betting on video, but why is that?
Yeah. So I started doubling down on video in 2015, about 2 years ago, and it kind of took me a little too long to evolve to where I'm at. Now, because I was busy with conferences, running businesses, and what have you. I create videos in bulk. I usually create 4 to 5 videos in a sitting. My videos are half repurposed from my content, half questions I get asked all the time. So if somebody asks me if I get 2 or 3 more, the same question asked 2 or 3 times, I'm going to essentially create a video on it because I hate answering the same things over and over again. So that means people need it, right? And I literally just say, hey, give me a week. I'm going to answer this via video. And then I give a response. It's problems I see in the space. So I created a video recently that's not out yet on like how to apply for a job and how to stand out. There's a better title than that. But the essence of this is like I was interviewing for a customer support person or interviewing a customer support role at Ramp Ventures, and I hated every applicant. I'm like, how the heck? It's 2017. How the heck is this so bad? Like somebody sent me a picture of their resume. They took a picture on their phone of the resume. Like, how is this acceptable? I don't care what position you're applying for at a company. This is not acceptable. Whether you're applying for a job at like McDonald's, Starbucks, or a Fortune 500 or a startup, like it doesn't matter. You never send a picture of a resume, right? I just got so bad resumes that I got frustrated. I was like, let me just create a video on how to do this, because it turns out that is a big weakness or pain point, and there's not lack of education, but there's too much stuff that's like clutter. But anyways, why I'm doubling down on the videos is the short version is videos can convey emotion, passion. Like you can see me like using my hands. If I get closer, it generally means I'm excited or I'm yelling at you. But like you can see that emotion, right? In content, you can't. The other reason is that like every dummy in the world can create content. I could read an article and I can summarize it, right? But that doesn't necessarily make me good. There's a lot of freaking people out there, which really piss me off sometimes, particularly this morning, that are just kind of writing stuff, and I'm like, have you even done this before? Like, have you done this? And if so, when's the last time? Because so it separates the experienced marketers, in my opinion. It separates me from the guys who are just creating content, who have that one win. Because like I can go and talk about like how to build $100 million company from all these articles I read, but I've never done it. If I talked about it on video, I'm gonna have to say at some point, or you're gonna have to figure out like I haven't done it before. So how the hell am I gonna talk about that? And so it's just to kind of add more flavor and kind of separate people from kind of the wannabes. The last thing is that I found that people, and this is not I found, it's just that generally people absorb things differently. Some people read books. Some people read articles. Some people listen to podcasts. Some people like ebooks. Some people like video. Some people like courses. People attend conferences. Those are all ways to learn. So why not incorporate video into the mix? Because there's a good amount of people who learn through videos. Like I hate reading. I actually add things to Pocket and I have it read to me. I love audiobooks. And the reason I like audiobooks and listening to stuff is because I can walk around the house, I can drive, I can just be out and about. I hate most podcasts because they're 45 minutes, and inside that 45 minutes is somewhere in there 10 to 15 minutes of really big value. And I don't know, I don't have the patience to get there. So my podcast is essentially 15 minutes of just value and no other BS. The videos are like 5 minutes of stuff. And so videos are a way for me to go after a long tail as well, because I can go after a very, very specific thing and talk about it. So that's it. I mean, and my videos, to be honest, I'm going to call myself out here. I get anywhere between 200 views and 1,000 views on average for most videos. But that 500, again, if I get 200 views, those 200 views, the engagements on that, the number of emails and people who I have real life conversations with is higher on 200 views than it is on 100,000, not 100, like 10,000 views on a blog. Because somebody actually listened to it. They heard my voice, right? And it's the closest you can get. Webinars and videos is the closest you can get to in-person real relationships from conferences or shaking hands with people online.
I always say that marketing is all about gaining attention and building trust, and I think video is one of the best ways to be authentic and gain that trust from the end user. Because I think it takes maybe 100 articles to deliver the same level of trust as a video. So I think that's the trade-off there. I think it's the fact that we should be everywhere, like you're trying to do. So you have people that don't read, as you said, don't read articles, but listen to podcasts. You should be there if you want to have reach. Or people staying on YouTube and searching for, YouTube tutorials and marketing stuff. And they're always, I even talked to one member of my teams today, and he told me about his plan about learning more. He's a beginner in SEO, and I'm learning more stuff on YouTube about SEO. That's his favorite channel. So
exactly, because you can find a problem and go solve it, right? Like Brian Dean has a bunch of good videos, and I'm late to the video game, but If you look at Facebook, LinkedIn, they're doubling down on video, right? These platforms have been doubling down. So like I get more views on my Facebook videos if I upload them natively than I do my YouTube videos, because there's an audience, there's people, there's discoveries kind of solved. And that's why I think ultimately Facebook has kind of kicked Snapchat's butt, even though it's not targeting, different people, it's targeting millennials or whatever. But anyways, video is such a powerful thing, and the engagement is much, much higher.
Yeah, for sure. A thing I know about you is that you have a big background in SEO, at least in the past. So how do you see the evolvement of SEO in the past few years, moving from back in the years like 10 years, 15 years ago, people were focused only on page optimization and buying links. And right now, we're not talking about SEO. In fact, we're talking about things like content marketing as a SEO strategy. I know that you have lots of experience on this exactly.
Yeah, so SEO has evolved, and it's always going to keep evolving. Frankly, SEO has gotten so hard that you need to do all things marketing to rank, right? So I remember I got started when my first business, I was in high school, I put white text on a white background, and I just stuffed keywords in there, and I stuffed keywords in my meta description, and it worked. I ranked well on Yahoo and Google. It was awesome. Then I think it was like the Florida update that just wiped me out. I got wiped out a couple of times on the first couple of big updates that Google got smart. So my agency, when Penguin and Panda came out, we were good. And in fact, we got more business because people were like, hey, we got penalized. Can you help us? I'm like, yes, we can. Because SEO is the long game, right? The behemoth of Google is never going to go away. Yeah, people might go to Facebook, whatever, but that's going to be evolving. So I think first and foremost, SEO has gotten complicated to where you need to do more than just optimize page titles, page structure. That stuff, and any technical SEO, you need to do that. That is par to play. That's the base you need to do to play. But what that used to be was a bigger part of what helped you rank. Now it's like one part. That's what you need to do to show up. The other thing is, 15 years have gone by. So people for 15 years have dominated SERPs, and they've done it. So how do you beat somebody that's done it for longer? Yeah. You have to be better. And how do you be better and catch up to somebody that's done it for 15 years? Like when I look at like our competitor at Mailshake, Yesware, they might be not technically the same functionality or features, but they're a competitor. They've been out there almost 7-8 years longer than us. How do we beat them on SEO? Content marketing. Why I love content marketing is that it does the things that help you rank. So let's just assume you got all the technical SEO stuff done. You need to build links. Well, Google's already freaking penalized everybody for building all the different types of easy or low-hanging fruit ways. So now you have to build links the harder way. You have to earn the links. You have to build relationships. Yeah, you could still do old school like broken link building. Still works. I do that every once in a while. Or like I'll do that as a first thing. You can look at your competitors where they're being mentioned, build relationship with those guys. But what do I say to build a relationship or somebody with somebody who's linked to my competitors? Hey, look, link to me, I'm better. That doesn't work anymore. They've already received that pitch 1 million times. They're already like, screw you, SEO spammer. So you have to add. I like to add content and value add educational information to go about building links. So what I love about content marketing is if you do it right, you get links, you earn links. Number 2 is it gives you an excuse to reach out to people for link building purposes to get more links. Number 3 is, yes, it will help you rank long term because you can go after long tail, you can go after all these keywords, but it also helps you drive traffic immediately. Look at my email outreach playbook. We get a lot of social traffic. We get a lot of people who say, hey, we love this article, or we love this guide, whatever. That article through content marketing has achieved much bigger ROI, or has much more traffic and ROI than anything I would get from search. So it expands to push marketing. So companies like link texting, where they're like, it's boring, it's been done, it's old industry, or old being like 3-4 years. Content marketing can bring traffic to the door because you can appeal, just like on Facebook ads. Why they work so well is, if you know the target demographic, you can create content to target that target demographic,
Yeah.
regardless of the search term. So I think it's become more than that. But where I see a big weakness in content marketing is that most people fail to turn page views into emails or page views into conversions. And number two is most people fail to get traffic to their content or promote their content effectively.
Yeah, I realized that also. And I think Google got way better at reverse engineering the human mind, how the searcher mind. So basically, they are looking at engagement factors. They are looking if the people are coming back from the result they clicked on and coming back to the search engine. All those factors are taken into consideration, and they create a score or something like that that shows if that article delivers or connects with the reader or not.
Yeah.
So it's not about only putting the keyword in the title and the H2s and so on in the first paragraph of the text. I think that's not relevant so much anymore. I think they are still working. They are part of the algorithm, but those are not the most important things for sure when talking about SEO. So I think Google tries to deliver value to the SERP results.
Exactly.
Well, if you had the chance to tell every person one thing before starting doing marketing, let's say a newbie, what would be that thing and why?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is learn everything you can do. You can learn. Like go read Neil Patel's blog, go read Rand's blog. Like those guys have kind of same industry opposing kind of thoughts a lot of times. Go read the content. Everything is available. Like I get a lot of emails from, I've built up a decent sized audience. I get a lot of emails with questions and I'm like, can't you just Google that question? Why the hell are you asking me? And not that I'm saying like my time is better used than someone else's, but ask yourself what you want to learn, who's the expert, and then Google it and see if the expert has written articles about it. So I think there's a lot of information out there. So like, it's more competitive than ever to rank and to drive traffic and grow a business. However, the education has leveled up and has leveled the playing field almost, because now the knowledge is at everyone's fingertips. Like 10 years ago, if you had to go build a marketing campaign, you might have to guess a little bit. Now, literally, there's 1,500 case studies on any type of you can do a B2B, a SaaS company, B2C, e-commerce, crowdsource company, how they grew by X percentage doing what. You can learn a lot of things. And I think what you want to do is I recommend everybody read. I see a lot of people still doing that, but read and then make an outline of what your playbook is going to be. And when you ask influencers or people for questions, what you should ask them is for feedback on your outline. Why that's important is because if you email me, anybody emails me and says, hey, Sujan, I want to know what you think. Can you give me feedback on my B2B SaaS content marketing plan? And here's what I've done. Here everything's in the Google Doc. Just if you can give me 5 minutes, I will give you feedback. I have enough information to give you feedback. That would be something I would charge my agency tens of thousands of dollars for free, right? So you can access people really, really easily. And so I've come out and open saying, hey, like if you ask me questions more than twice, I'm going to make a video on it, right? So like people can drive my behavior in a sense. But I think a lot of other influencers and experienced marketers or experienced anybody that's good at business are open to giving you feedback. So ask questions, but don't ask stupid questions. And stupid questions, by definition, is things you can Google. Ask like, what do you think of this plan? Don't say, where do I start? Because you should Google that.
Yeah, I think another challenge on the reading part is people that are asking me at the beginning of their careers is the fact that they don't know where to start. So they have a huge problem with the noise. There are lots of noise, especially in the marketing to marketers industry. And
there's a lot of information. I actually have a video on how to start your career in digital marketing on YouTube. That's my most successful, most visited or viewed video. So just if you just go to my channel or like, there's 2 videos on it. But yeah, they're very, very, it sifts through the noise. It's about learning and building relationships at the beginning.
Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes, my first show notes afterwards. Okay, what's something you used to believe in, but now you disagree with?
I don't know. So I don't know. I think like, as the industry, as I get smarter, as the industry evolves, things change. The industry is a moving target, right? I think there is no guaranteed win. There's no finite belief. Your belief
Mhm.
should evolve with the space as it moves. And so I always have believed in building an audience, adding value to people's lives, educating as a way to market and build your brand. That's
Mhm.
not gone away. Whether it's, technical SEO, I don't believe that like a growth hack, a tactic can work. That won't get you very far. And so I think a lot, when I was, growth hacking in the early heydays when Sean Ellis came up with it, 2010, 2011, guys like Heath and Shaw were doing it. I believe that tactics would help. And as I started seeing the tactics, I saw the results of how much they helped and quickly realized that it's not about tactics. It's about
Yeah.
finding your weaknesses in your funnel, about your weaknesses and strengths in your channel, and either doubling down on the strengths or fixing those weaknesses. And I can tell you the thing that's never changed is the weaknesses in someone's funnel is twofold. One is they don't get enough traffic. Just
Mhm.
go get more traffic. Yeah, it's easy to say, but there's 5 channels. Go figure it out. Number two is people fail to convert traffic.
Mhm.
Go A/B test. Go figure out what the value proposition is that you can have. And if
Mhm.
you can't solve those funnels, either early stage companies, your idea is shit, or you're completely going after the wrong audience. So the best way to measure this is not how much traffic you get. Yeah, that will go up, but is to see how many people are talking about you, how many people are referencing your content. And so I've seen, and I monitor this monthly, is how many mentions our brands get month over month. And I know that like obviously there's more business metrics like sales, revenue, traffic, conversion rates, all that
Mhm.
stuff, but our core channels would not work, would not be working if our brand mentions start going down. That means
Yeah.
we're failing to engage, or something has changed. So it's an input metric that really drives our strategy. And like I said, I've been working on my personal brand for consistently since 2014. So this is my 4th year in a row where I've consistently created content. The volume has gone up and down, whatever. And I can tell you that the compounding interest of working on your brand is working, right?
Mhm.
For
Mhm.
example, if I spoke at more conferences this year, I'm going to be speaking at like almost 42 conferences. I think it's going up as I'm planning for like December, November, October, December. But if my number of brand mentions goes down and I'm speaking at and traveling around the world, what the hell am I doing? I'm probably not doing the right things
Yeah.
um, that could help my business grow. So it's a direct correlation of my input, and it's not an output metric; it's an input metric, meaning it's still a part of my strategy being effective, and
Mhm.
measuring that, not necessarily is my effective strategy working to get customers. And I think a lot of people focus on goals and outputs. Like, I want to get 500 new customers a month. Great. But what are you going to
Mhm.
do to get there? And then is it working? That KPI, my Northstar metric of brand mentions, is the bridge between what are you doing and is it working? How am I going to get there? It's the is it working? Is what I'm doing working?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's a very fresh view on things because I think too many marketers are focusing on traffic. So on basically all of middle of funnel, bottom of funnel things, but I don't know so many marketers that are tracking brand mentions.
Yeah, it's like I said, word of mouth is so huge. But yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
because you can engage in conversations and so many other things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And people are tracking word of mouth usually by measuring the number of branded searches on Google, but that's the output. It's not the input, as you said. So you need to
Yeah.
measure also the input. If you would advise a marketer to focus more on what are the three things he should focus or prioritize this year in 2017 more and focus less on. So three things focus more, three things to focus less on.
Yeah, so the 3 things to focus more on is one, do the math on your
Okay.
ideas. Do the math on whatever you read, whatever you come across. Somebody tells you something. I had a conversation with 2 other agency guys, and they're like, "Oh, this one channel, I'll just call it out. They're HubSpot partners. and they're saying HubSpot drives crazy amount of business for us. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. At first I was like, that's cool, man. I should get on that. And then I was like, hey, wait, later in the conversation, I was like, hey, what do you define as crazy amount of opportunities? And they're like, yeah, we get 5 to 10 new leads a month. I'm like, oh, I don't care about that. I don't care about 5 to 10 new leads. I thought you were talking about 100 new leads. So do the math. Define what you think is amazing. Like for Mailshake, we're growing by 500 new customers a month. To me, that's amazing. Is that amazing to you? Is that amazing if Canva grows by 500 new customers a month? Probably not. They're way further than us. If they grow by 500 a month, they're probably losing revenue or like they're bleeding dry. So think about the math. Think about the person's situation and decide for yourself if that's the thing that's right for you. So number 2 is to stop reading. Please stop reading more content and start figuring out how to take action on the content you read. So this is not, it's like the same thing of content marketing quality versus quantity. Go from quantity of reading, and I see this all the time. You know, we're in a Slack group and I see this all the time. We're all producing so much awesome content, but if you were to take any blog post you read in the last 6 months and you said, okay, I'm going to take action on one of the things, you can probably just go to one blog post and take one action. That combination is much, much better than just reading more because you're not taking action. So take action on your content, even if that means you have to read less. And I actually have a blog post on this exact approach and how I do it. Not that that's what everyone should do, but I'm sure you can link to it in the show notes or whatnot. And then the last thing is to be transparent, to be vulnerable, to be a human being and share the information you've learned. The reason why, I'll tell you the selfish reason why you should be teaching people and being transparent, because it gets your head out of your ass. When you teach somebody how to do something or when you share it, you realize you have to decipher it from like what you did to what you did, how it worked, and how others can repeat that process. You get smarter. You take the thing you've done and you've now made it 3 steps or 10 steps or whatever. That means it's more repeatable for you, right? So selfish reason is you get better at things by teaching people. That's why I have a philosophy of all of our staff, anyone we hire, we have a daisy chain method of training. So the person who learns something last, they're teaching the next person in the door because that teaching process, obviously they may be supervised or they may have help, but that teaching process helps them master it. Now, the second reason is the not selfish reason is that like you essentially are making the world a better place. You're teaching people how to do things. And again, if you don't do it, someone else will. And so being transparent, being open about stuff, you don't like, there is no black box of magic tricks of how to grow a company. That stuff is already discovered. So to teach people. Now, the things I like to see people do less of is run their mouths on a tactic that has won and apply it to like, this is how you can grow your company X by doing Y. Reality is you grew your company X by doing Y because of Z. And the Z is your situation. Yes. It's where you're at. So acknowledge that there's that Z factor and share it. Don't go so much after page views and whatnot. The number 2 thing of not to do is to not stop focusing on like, and this is, even though we've been saying this, the top marketers have been saying this for like last 5 years, people still do this, is to stop creating quantity of content. Like I had a client come to me like, hey, I read on a HubSpot article, we have to create 18 articles a month. I'm like, how are we going to update the quality on 18 articles a month? I'm like, how the hell are you going to create 18 articles? That's a lot of money you're going to have to spend to create 18 articles. That's a lot of time. What are those 18 articles going to do? Sure, when that HubSpot article was written in 2013, 18 articles was awesome. That was probably the thing to do, although I would argue that probably wasn't the case. So focus on quality of content and then get your cadence, right? So again, like, don't just go out there, do things, and create a consistent cadence around things because that's what you think is right. Do it once. Figure out how to do it again, and then come up with a cadence you can do. When we first started, like, there's a reason why there's only one Mailshake playbook, because we haven't figured out the other one to do, right? Like, we don't know what it is. So instead of going and trying 5 things, I'm like, what's the next? I'm like, every ounce of energy I have in content marketing is like, what is that one big thing I can create again? Not like, what are 5 more I should be doing? So cadence is not as important as success. So you want to build a successful cadence. And I guess the last thing is really just to continue evolving. Don't ever stop evolving, right? Like, I remember in end of 2013, I had been doing, by that time, marketing for almost 10 years. And I was running a large agency. I was so far removed from the day-to-day and the strategy and the tactics we use. I kind of had my head up my ass of like, what's working and what's not. And that's because I didn't keep my thumb on the pulse of the industry, and I got left behind. It took me a year and a half to really catch up and get ahead. So don't let the industry pass you by. AI, bots, Messenger, Snapchat, Quora ads, all these things are new that have come up in the last 6 months. So if you weren't in the day-to-day in the last 6 months, you may have missed these. Doesn't mean you should go after them, but you should still be aware of those opportunities.
Who's the person that had the biggest influence on you?
I think the person who has had the biggest influence on me is probably Neil Patel. I think there's 2 big reasons why Neil has helped me a lot in my career. One, he's the one who actually got me started. Back in 2002, Neil was doing SEO, and he's like, hey, Sujan, he's like, I gotta tell you about this hot new thing I'm doing. It's called search engine optimization. I'm like, what is this? He's like, look, it's easy. You just do this, that, and the other, and it works. The other thing he did early on in my career was make it hard for me to learn. So he didn't just say like, oh, hey, Sujan, here's the thing I'm doing. Here's exactly the steps. Here's an article to read. He's like, no, hey, Sujan, you should look into this SEO thing. It's really easy. It's working for me, and it's really, really easy. And I'm like, how do I do this? He's like, Google it. That's the first thing he said to me. Or actually, he might have said like, just search for it, because Google, it wasn't a thing at that point. But anyways, he made it really hard. I had to figure shit out by myself. And he never really gave me the short answer. I think probably that was just kind of his style. He was busy or whatever. But that making me do the work made me such a better marketer. Now, fast forward kind of 15 years, I don't agree with what he's doing. I don't know everything he's doing. He's kind of turned into this mad scientist. But I can tell you, the guy has been producing content for 15 years, of which like 6 or 7 of the years I've paid attention. I've seen this. Again, my main metric is brand mentions. I've seen his like brand go through the roof, and it's all about consistency. There's very few people out there. There are very few people out there that have done it as consistently and providing a lot of education and value. I think on the internet he has a pretty bad rep of like being a douche or like over monetizing or optimizing or whatever. But the other thing is the guy's pretty humble in person, well, very humble in person, hasn't let money go to him, which is also awesome. So I would, I would love to say Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, these big guys, but they're so far away from what I'm doing that like a guy like Neil is just like probably like 5-6 years ahead of me. And he's kind of done a lot of things consistently and has never stopped creating value, which to me, he's probably now like over optimizing his site. I don't really care, but he's continued to provide value, which is pretty impressive for 15 years running, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I don't know that many people, like probably Gary Vee, Rand Fishkin. But what I like about Neil is he's a little bit more on my wavelength of like, he has multiple businesses and whatnot. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for joining this new podcast. And one last thing, where people can find you online and connect with you?
The best place to find me is my website, sujanpatel.com, or add me on LinkedIn. Hot new network, hot new old network turning into stuff. So check out the status update stuff there. But yeah, come find me there, ping me. I'm an open book. Just ask questions. Just all I ask is Google stuff, the simple stuff before you ask.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Speak soon. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.